front lines. So you.
From the radio service of Blaze Communications Network Incorporated, good evening and welcome to Blaze News Point. 45 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one world. Today is Wednesday, July 15, 2026. My name is Menso Mendy on top of today's presentation. Stories topping the headlines. Government of Liberia receives 17 Liberian nationals from South Africa following renewed xenophobic attacks and growing anti-immigrant tensions in the softened African nation. Movement for Progressive Change political leader Simeon Freeman criticizes the reported spending of more than 200,000 United States dollars on the construction of a residence for Grand Bassa County Superintendent Carl Johnson. And Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand accuses the Liberian National Police of intimidating its media and publicity activities ahead of the group planned July 17 protest in central Monrovia. The news bulletin, the voices of those making the news post, are all packaged onto this presentation. But first is Stephen Talu and the news bulletin. Stephen, good evening.
Good evening, Mandy. Movement for Progressive Change political leader Simeon Freeman has criticized the reported spending of more than 200,000 United States dollars on the construction of a residence for Grand Bassa County Superintendent Carl Johnson. Speaking during a live interview in Monrovia on Wednesday, Freeman argued that movement should prioritize human development over the construction of what he described as luxurious public offices across the country. He accused the Boaka Kun administration of funding the superintendent's residence, while, according to him, many residents of Grand Bassa County continue to face poverty and economic hardship. Freeman also called on the government to invest more in the economy by providing loans to market women and small businesses while creating opportunities to empower people through employment and entrepreneurship. Meanwhile, Freeman described Liberia's have settled as being posted in the call on the government to increase funding to strengthen the country's healthcare system and improve access to quality medical services. The government of Liberia has repatriated 17 Liberian nationals from South Africa following renewed xenophobic attacks and rising anti-migrant tensions in that country. The returnees arrived in Monrovia under a government-facilitated voluntary repatriation program aimed at ensuring the safety of Liberian citizens. The exercise was coordinated by the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs after several Liberians expressed their fears for their lives and made reports of violence and hostility targeting foreign nationals. Speaking on behalf of the returnees, Ayrton Chia expressed gratitude to the government of Liberia for facilitating their safe return. He commended President Joseph Boakai, Liberia's ambassador to South Africa, and other officials for their timely intervention, saying the government's support restored hope during a difficult and frightening period. Meanwhile, the executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, Kolo Bangalu, reaffirmed the government's commitment to assisting all Liberians in South Africa who voluntarily reach to return home. He described the returnees' experience as painful and said the government now closely monitored reports of xenophobic attacks. Bangalore thanked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Liberia Embassy in Pretoria, the Liberia Immigration Service, and the Ministry of Affairs for their collaboration in ensuring the successful repatriation. The Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand has accused the Liberia National Police of intimidating its media and publicity activities ahead of the group's planned July 70 protest in central Monrovia. The protest, announced by STEM National Chairperson Moluba Molu, is expected to bring together citizens from across Liberia to draw attention to alleged corruption, economic hardship, the rising cost of living, and calls for greater transparency and accountability from the Bouaga administration. Speaking to journalists, Sten's head of publicity, Roland Nelson, alleged that the office of the Liberian National Police chased and stopped the organization's publicity float while it was conducting an awareness campaign ahead of Friday demonstration. He described the incident as intimidation and harassment directed at the protest organizers. In response, the Liberian National Police said the vehicle was stopped as a result of it appearing to have mechanical defects that raised road safety concerns. The LMPC and inspection found the vehicle unfit for continued operation on public roads. The police emphasized that the action was not connected to the planned protest and was not intended to interfere with the organization or organizer or the activities. Unity Party Chairman Emeritus Shirley Inari has urged Liberians to remain calm and allow security agencies to independently investigate the reported 90 million US drug seizure. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, Noreen expressed confidence in President Joseph Boaká's administration to combating drug trafficking, saying he believes those responsible will be brought to justice in keeping with the president's campaign promise to fight the drug menace. He encouraged everyone who credible information now related to the case to cooperate with investigators, stressing that public support will help ensure a thorough investigation and prevent the spread of misinformation. Noreen also called on the Joint Security and other institutions handling the case to conduct a professional, impartial, and transparent investigation free from political interference. He warned that a failure to properly investigate and prosecute those responsible could undermine public confidence and negatively impact the Unity Party's political future. The Student Unification Party has submitted a petition to the United States Embassy in Monrovia calling for international support and an independent investigation into Liberia's recent $19.2 million cocaine seizure. Presenting the petition at the U.S. Embassy, Super Chairman Audacious Maloba said the appeal is based on the long-standing relationship between Liberia and the United States, and noting that the two countries have shared nearly 2 centuries of cooperation in promoting democracy, accountability, and regional stability. Maloba referenced the June 7, 2027 seizure of the 237.6 kilograms of high-grade cocaine at Rabat International Airport, describing it as one of the largest drug busts in Liberia's history. He said the discovery, along with another reported drug shipment through the airport in May, suggested that international drug trafficking networks have infiltrated Liberia's aviation and logistics system. Meanwhile, Maloba called for independent investigation into allegations involving Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn and Liberia National Police Inspector Gregory Komal. He also urged the U.S. government to deploy DEA and FBI investigators, consider sanctions against an official found culpable, and link future support for Liberian National Police to reforms, human rights compliance, and strong anti-drug enforcement. Liberia Broadcasting System Director General Eugene Fagon has dismissed as false and misleading reports claiming that Consolidated Group Incorporated invited the state broadcaster to have Liberia National Television (LNTV) placed on the DSTV platform. Speaking in an interview with the state radio, Fagon said the publication was intended to misinform the public and distract attention from the facts surrounding the initiative. He urged Liberians not to give credence to the report and called on media institutions across the country to verify information before publication, stressing that fact-checking is essential to maintaining public trust and media credibility. Fagon disclosed that management of LBS is currently holding discussions with DSTV Global to facilitate the placement of LNTV on the international television platform. Residents of Upper Cinco are calling for an independent investigation into allegations that the John F. Kennedy Medical Center is openly burning infectious medical waste, exposing nearby communities to thick smoke and possible health risks. Residents say black smoke and strong chemical odors are frequently drifting into homes, schools, churches, and businesses, with many claiming the pollution has caused persistent coughing and other respiratory problems, especially among children. Some community members allege the problem has continued for years. In response, JFK Medical Center has denied the allegations. The hospital officials say all medical waste is handled through designated waste management system using two incinerators, a mutual fuel powered unit, and a modern electric powered incinerator. They insist waste is processed according to established safety procedures and say no formal complaints have been received from residents. Health experts caution that while controlled high temperature incineration is approved method for treating medical waste, open burning can release dangerous pollutants linked to respiratory diseases, cancer, and environmental contamination. Community members are urging the Environmental Protection Agency and the Ministry of Health to investigate the claims, conduct air and soil quality tests, and ensure the hospital complies with national healthcare waste management standards. Liberia's revised maritime reform bills are once again headed to President Joseph Boakai after the House of Representatives agreed with the Senate's amended three-bill package. Yet the legislation seeks to modernize the country's port sector by restructuring the National Port Authority, creating autonomous sea and inland ports, establishing a National Ports Regulatory Commission, and amending the functions of the Liberia Petroleum Refinery Company. The other vote followed debate from some lawmakers criticizing the committee for not holding an expected public hearing before submitting its report. However, supporters said the committee followed House rules, and Speaker Richard Coon defended the process. The bills now awaited President Boakai's decision. He vetoed an earlier version in 2025 over legal institutional concern. And President Joseph Boakai held a consultative meeting with the leadership of the Liberian Senate to strengthen cooperation between the executive and legislative branches of government. The meeting held Tuesday at the President's Rehab Community Office in Painesville focused on governance and national development, security, and collaboration on key priorities. According to the executive mansion, President Bouaka and Senate leaders reaffirmed their commitment to regular consultations on working together to promote peace, stability, and the welfare of the Liberian people. The Senate delegation was led by Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn and included Senate Pro Tempore Nyomli Kanga Lawrence and several senators. Senior government officials included the Minister of Justice, Information and State for Presidential Affairs also attended. No specified policy decisions were announced following the meeting. Blaze News.
Steering Talud and the news bulletin is indeed a regular feature on Blaze News Point. If you are just joining all this, a reminder you are listening to the Wednesday, July 15, 2026 edition of Blaze News Point. Here are the big stories topping the headlines. Government of Liberia received 17 Liberian nationals repatriated from South Africa following renewed xenophobic attacks and rising anti-immigrant tension in that country. Movement for Progressive Change political leader Simeon Freeman criticizes the reported spending of more than 200,000 United States dollars on the construction of a residence for Grand Bassa County Superintendent Carl Johnson. And the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand accuses the Liberia National Police of intimidating its media and publicity activities ahead of the group planned July 17 protests in central Monrovia. The voices of those making the news and sports are still ahead, but this break, Toby Weber. Welcome back to Blaze News Point. We don't take our first development. The government of Liberia has repatriated 17 Liberian nationals from South Africa following renewed xenophobia attacks and rising anti-immigrant tension in that country. The returnees will arrive in Monrovia on a government-facilitated voluntary repatriation program aimed at ensuring the safety of Liberian citizens. Speaking on behalf of the returnees, Hilton Chi expressed gratitude to the government of Liberia for facilitating their safe return.
First of all, I would like to thank our government, His Excellencies, Mr. Joseph Bouaka, for all of the tirelessly and great support that they have shown to we that was repatriated from South Africa, where we went through catastrophic attacks of xenophobic depression. I would just like to thank our government greatly for the love that they have shown to their people, because where we were drowning and sinking, there was no solid ground. I thank our government for being there to give us the hope where there was no hope. And also, I would like to thank our chairlady from South Africa, Mrs. Panenhoff, for the support that she has shown and hard work for making this repatriation to be a success. Our honorable ambassador in Pretoria, who has worked tirelessly for all of the support, and may our good God give us all good health to be able to also work very hard to remember those also who are into difficulties also that we came from. Our brothers and sisters who are left behind. Because this is not a joke. We shouldn't take it very lightly. We should be grateful, some of us, to be here, because we should have lost our lives.
Meanwhile, the executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, called Bangalore, reaffirmed the government commitment to assisting all Liberians in South Africa who voluntarily wish to return home. He described the returnees' experience as painful and said the government closely monitored reports of the xenophobic attacks.
It is life. Liberians have gone through a lot. It's been school since year in, year out, since 1989. It's been troubling. We watched the ordeal on television and we saw what you guys went through. All we can see as a government is praise be to God. We will keep working with the Liberian Embassy in Victoria to ensure that all of those remaining colleagues who voluntarily want to come back will also come back. I want to say thank you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Minister Sarah Bethlo Yancy, the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, S.F. Davis, and the Ambassador in Victoria, Ambassador George Bucket, for the coordinator with us at LPPRC to ensure that this happens. We want to thank the Liberian Immigration Service for the level of support. Immigration, we want to say, extend to Commissioner General Rupert our profound sentiment of support and coordination we enjoy. The Minister of Health wants to thank you. You know, the Minister said, I know nobody is sick, but we have ambulance available. So you saw one ambulance, part of the convoy. It went back to the airport since this morning. So to give them Minister Louis Poto or Dr. Louis Poto wants to say thank you. Now, you know, for you to be the one making remarks between your remark and eating, it's a bad thing because it means your remark are a bit short. But let me just say again that we know you have family members, obviously, but we ask you to please come, the number one family that the government. Come first, spend a day or two with us, and then connect your family members and go.
That's the voice of the Executive Director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission, Councillor Ko Bangalore, reaffirming the government commitment to assisting all Liberians in South Africa who voluntarily wish to return home. He had on to listen to the voice of Hilton Chie, the spokesperson on behalf of the returnees, expressing gratitude to the governor of Liberia for facilitating their safe return. They spoke on the governor of Liberia to receive 17 Liberian nationals from South Africa following renewed xenophobic attacks and rising anti-immigrant tensions in that country. Movement for Progressive Change political leader Simon Freeman has criticized the reported spending of over $200,000 on the construction of a residence for Grand Bassa County Superintendent Carl Johnson. Speaking during a live interview in Monrovia on Wednesday, Freeman argued that government should prioritize human development over the construction of what he described as luxurious public offices across the country. He accused the Baka Kong administration of funding the superintendent's residence while, according to him, many residents of Grand Bassa County continue to face poverty and economic hardship.
We go to our county, like you go to Grand Bassa County, they're celebrating a building of the superintendent's house as development. I mean, imagine if you had taken 300 plus thousand and decided, look, we're going to use this as public facility where we take it from the central bank to the commercial bank, and we say all of the people doing business in Bassa will have a pool for 300,000 that can be revolved, right? Where is the superintendent sleeping in Bassa? Is he sleeping in the jailhouse? No. So you see, these are some of the questions we start to ask ourselves. What's the condition of the jailhouse in Grand Bassa? Have we improved it in the last 50 years? No. But a superintendent's house where possibly the president will stay when he goes to Bassa is a priority. You see, that's what's hurting us. So if we took that money invested in human development where we say 300,000 for business people, market women, imagine the residual impact. 300,000 where these market women will no longer have to buy through a middleman. You know the experience here? Go down the street, you go to buy television, the guy said the television in the store will probably give it to you for $450. The guy on the street selling it $480. So the guy in the store is cheaper, even though the guy on the street bought it from the guy in the store. Yeah. So that guy on the street, his economic situation is not going to improve for the next 10 years. So we're doing nothing about the economy. Our interpretation of development is still superintendent house built, then that means Grand Bassa is developing because now we have good superintendent house. But the people of Bassa are poor. Because we're taking July 26th celebration to Buchanan, we're destroying the people's houses along the way, further exacerbated by bad weather. So just to celebrate July 26th, people are victimized. After July 26th celebrated in Bikina, everybody come back. Now thousands of people that are unemployed, have no access to opportunity, will be further destroyed. And we say, oh, that celebration and economy is going good. Mindset, that is haunting us.
Meanwhile, Freeman described Liberia's health sector as being in a poor state and called on the government to increase funding to strengthen the country's healthcare system and improve access to quality medical services.
If you look in the health budget, there's an allotment for. We wouldn't say that we've improved with health anyway. The hospitals are still very miserable. If you look in the health budget, there's an allotment for $4.5 million to buy drugs nationwide. $4.5 million to buy drugs nationwide, but at Executive Mansion, you have $1.3 million for operational fund. So you can see we're collecting the money, but the way we focus in our resources is not really solving the people's problem. And we still have that old model of development. We wouldn't.
That's the voice of the Movement for Progressive Change political leader Simeon Freeman, describing Liberia's health sector as that has been in a poor state, and called on the government to increase funding to strengthen the country's healthcare system and improve access to quality medical services. And at the same time, criticizing the reported spending of more than $200,000 on the construction of a residence for Grand Bassa County Superintendent Kau Johnson. Today's development, the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day's Town has accused the Liberian National Police of intimidating its media and publicity activities ahead of the group planned July 17 protests in central Monrovia. The protest, announced by STAND National Chairperson Moba Molu, is expected to bring together citizens from across Liberia to draw attention to alleged corruption, economic hardship, the rising cost of living, and calls for greater transparency and accountability from the Bouchard administration. Speaking to journalists, STAND head of publicity Roden Nelson alleged the officer of the Liberian National Police chased and stopped the organization publicity float while it was conducting an awareness campaign ahead of the Friday's demonstration.
So my name is Roland T. Nelson, and I was the head of the team that was on the truck for the publicity yesterday. So it happened 7 to 8. 7 to 8, we were making our way directly to Chanimoro resident to park the truck. So we did publicity in town, Central Monrovia, the entire Central Monrovia, we dealt with Central Monrovia yesterday. So while on our way to the resident of Chanimoro, passing the fish market, we saw the police car kept running on the side of the truck, and we now noticed that even the police were telling us to stop. So when we reached around the old junction around this Jal gas station terrain, and we noticed the officers on the back crossing in front of the truck. So it caught the driver attention. He had to slow down because he wanted to be on excessive speed before getting problem. So we were not really paying attention. When the driver stopped the truck, they were what's unfolding. We tried to ascertain what's happening. We saw a group of police officers getting them from the police car, and some of them was on back. And we caught them. Before we go low, another group of police officers came. So we got them to ascertain what is the call, what's happening. They say, oh, they told me to stop. We are taking the truck to Zone 3. Why are you taking the truck to Zone 3 without any better explanation? You are not explaining anything to us, but you want to carry this truck to Zone 3. So we said, I told my team that this truck cannot go anywhere. I told them clear that this truck will not take a step from here because you are not giving us any information as to why you want to take this truck to Zone 3. So this truck will not take an inch from this place. There was our phone to the mobile kid Morigo, giving the information of what was unfolding here. And I did a recording here. While doing my recording, officer of the Liberian National Police, but in the video, you want to take my phone, start fighting with my phone. I'm going to stop recording. I said, no, I'm not doing anything bad. I'm recording the scene. Why should I stop? We left everything on this truck. The government is responsible for anything that happens to this truck. We learned last night that the government, the officers of the Liberian National Police took the batteries on this truck last night. So we understand the government intimidation tactics. We are aware of that. We receive an intel before this thing will happen. We know this cannot stop us. No amount of intimidation when the government can stop the July 17 protest.
In response, the Liberia National Police said the vehicle was stopped as a result of it appearing to have mechanical defects that raised road safety concerns. At this juncture, we now go to Cedar B, where Stephen Tado returns with the passion of live sports.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports has cancelled the Liberia Lone Stars scheduled international friendly against strengthening African resilience towards excellence, which was set to take place on July 26 in St. Paul, Minnesota, in the United States. According to a ministry statement, the decision followed the denial of U.S. visas to several members of the national team and the official delegation, making it impossible for Liberia to fulfill its obligations under the match appearance agreement. The ministry said it invoked the force majeure clause of the agreement, stressing that the cancellation will be beyond the control of the government of Liberia, the Liberia Football Association, and the Lone Star team. Despite the setback, the ministry expressed hope that a friendly match can be rescheduled once the visa issues are resolved. Still in Liberia, former Executive Football Association executive committee member and River Ladies FC chief executive officer, as Rochelle Woodson, has raised a concern over the lack of financial support for women's lower league clubs as the lower league playoffs begin. Wilson's clubs competing in the women's third division and community league have now received financial assistance from the Liberia Football Association, forcing many teams to cover the cost of participating in the competition. She explained that because these clubs are part of the Liberia Football Association's football development program, they were also excluded from benefiting from the Maritime Football Development funding. And last, Spain has advanced to the final World Cup. That's the FIFA World Cup final after defeating France 2-0 in Tuesday's semi-final in Arlington, Texas. Mikel Oyarzabal opened the scoring for the penalty spot in the first half before Pedro Porro at a second goal early in the second half to seal a convincing victory for the Spaniards. The win marks Spain's third consecutive triumph over France, following victories in the UEFA Euro 2024 and the UEFA Nations League 2025 semi-finals. Spain will now face either England or Argentina in Sunday's final of the World Cup final in Rutherford, New Jersey. And that's the sports.
Stephen Tarud with the passion of live sports is indeed a regular featured on Blaze News Point. We don't take more development. The Student Unification Party has submitted a petition to the United States Embassy in Monrovia calling for international support in an independent investigation into Liberia's recent U.S. $19.2 million cocaine seizure. Representing the petition at the U.S. Embassy, Sub-Chairman Odysseus Moba said he appealed his base on the long-standing relationship between Liberia and the United States, noting that the two countries have shared nearly 2 centuries of cooperation in promoting democracy, accountability, and regional stability. Moba referenced the June 7, 2026 seizure of 237.6 kilograms of high-grade cocaine at the Barbados International Airport, and describing it as one of the largest drug busts in Liberia's history.
We present this petition to the Embassy of the United States in Monrovia, cognizant of the historical ties and shared values of democratic governance that interconnect our nation in the respectable bilateral relations that govern our mutual existence as sovereign states. For nearly 2 centuries, the United States and the Republic of Liberia have shared the same solid commitment to constitutional democracy and stability in the West African region. Whenever our democratic institutions crumble under the weight of systemic compromise, the timely, non-partisan, and value-driven intervention of the United States of America and the government have been the decisive factor in steering our nation back towards accountability. Our petition invokes the core values that dictate American foreign policy, which include democratic accountability, institutional transparency, global security, and the fight against narco terrorism. On June 7, 2026, 237.6 kilograms of high-grade cocaine valued at 19.2 million United States dollars was intercepted at the Rabat International Airport. This multi-million-dollar cocaine consignment is one of the largest shipments of narcotic substances ever discovered in Liberia. This particular discovery is deeply turquoise. It proves that drug cartel have no longer a threat to use Liberia as a transit point because they have successfully managed to infiltrate and designate major logistic aviation network. In May of this same year, the cartel again succeeded in smuggling illicit drugs to the RIA. The Revolutionary Vanguard Unification Party seeks to alert the U.S. government that these developments demonstrate that the security interests of the Chon-led administration are under a very serious assault. West Africa is becoming a critical transit hub for illicit drugs. The 19.2 million cocaine saga in the May shipment revealed that under the Bakakun government, Liberia has become an operational base and a money laundering epicenter and a safe haven for transnational cartel trading drugs. If left unchecked, the financial incomes from these criminal activities will injure our electoral process and undermine the fragile democracy that the United States and Liberian people spent decades developing. In the immediate wake of the RIA cocaine season, public confidence, we present this petition to the Embassy of the United States in Monrovia, condition of the historical.
Meanwhile, mobile call for independent investigations into allegations involving Vice President Jeremiah Cohn and Liberian National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman. He also urged the U.S. government to deploy DEA and FBI investigators considering sanctions against NN officials, fund capable and link future support for the Liberian National Police to reforms, human rights compliance, and stronger anti-drug enforcement.
Given the apparent inability of democratic institutions to credibly address the 19.2 million cocaine trafficking case, the Revolutionary Vanguard Unification Party thereby respectfully request the following from the U.S. government. 1. An independent U.S.-supported investigation. We urge the U.S. Department of Justice through the DEA and FBI to deploy an independent investigative team to conduct a parallel forensic review of the Rabat International Airport cocaine season, identify those responsible and trace the financial and operational network beyond the trafficking operation. Targeted sanctions review. Call on the U.S. Department of State and the Office of Foreign Assets Control to review the financial interest, assets, and visa eligibility of Vice President Jeremiah Cohn and Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman. Where credible evidence establishes gross negligence, appropriate financial sanction, visa restrictions shall be considered under applicable U.S. law. 3. Review jurisdictional time. We request that U.S. authorities determine whether Inspector General Gregory Coleman has legal or financial ties to the United States and where applicable, ensure compliance with relevant U.S. law governing corruption, money laundering, and public integrity. 4. Conditional security access. Urge that future U.S. funding and logistical support to the Liberian National Police be conditioned on independent human rights, institutional transparency, and measurable progress in combating transnational narcotic trafficking. The United States has long championed democracy, accountability, and the rule of law. As Liberia confront the growing threat of organized narcotic traffic, the Revolutionary Vanguard Unification Party and the people of Liberia call upon our long-standing partner, the United States of America, to support an independent, transparent, and credible process that strengthens justice, accountability, and the integrity of the Liberian democratic institution. Given the apparent inability.
That's the voice of the Student Unification Party chairperson Ludicious Mobile, calling for independent investigations into allegations involving Vice President Jeremiah Cohn and Liberian National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman. And at the same time, submitting the petition to the United States Embassy in Monrovia, calling for international support and an independent investigation into Liberia's recent U.S. 19.2 million cocaine seizure case. Liberia Broadcasting System Director General Eugene Fagon has dismissed as false and misleading reports claiming that Consider Data Group Incorporated invited the state broadcaster to have Liberia National Television placed on the DSTV platform. Speaking in an interview with the state radio, Fagon said the publication was intended to misinform the public and distract attention from the facts surrounding the initiative. Fagon disclosed that the management of LBS is currently holding discussions with DSTV Global to facilitate the placement of LNTV on the international television platform.
I've come on to say that we are taken aback from an article that appeared from what we saw on Variety Online News and some other media outlets that somehow the Consolidated Group Incorporated, the official service provider of DSTV, as they claim, had invited the Liberian Broadcasting System to upload television content to the DSTV satellite platform to move Liberian programs forward, that information is false and misleading, that the public should not consider that information. They went on to say that I was written and I received a letter to that effect. I am saying categorically I have not seen any letter from any group called Consolidated Group Incorporated. I've not even, since this article has been trending, received any call from a group calling itself Consolidated Group Incorporated. I've been working with DSTV International, that is partnering with Canal France International, MultiChoice and others. So I respect the local DSTV group. I don't know where they've come from, but we've had no prior engagements, no prior arrangements. I've not received any letters or whatsoever. I've come.
And lastly of the news scene, the Director General of the National Bureau of Concession, Henson Kiazuru, says the Bureau is launching a
with the concessionaire. So as a result, the people focus on them instead of the community and the government. A lot of the politicians. And when I go on the review, I will definitely disclose some of them. It's unfair, whether you legislator or you minister, for you to get so much involved with the concessionaire to the extent you have assurance that nothing can happen to them if even they breach the agreement. It makes some concessions very hostile. My predecessor were telling me. And I said they can be hostile. Yeah, could you imagine concession companies report they send to their shareholders or board of directors? They summarize something to NBC, and just because it's fair, maybe the capacity not there. But unfortunately for them, myself, I bring in skill, I bring in individual that can decode those things. There's just and the law said that I can design my own reporting template and ask the concessionaire to do it. As I speak to you, we have designed a new reporting template that suits our country, not your shareholders. And I strongly believe what they gave to us is not what they sent to their shareholders. Yeah, and we're trying to develop a mechanism. They are auditors. We have to go talk to them to get the same statement and compare with our domestic reporting template. If you evaluate, in my belief, you will get the resources and go after. I'll bring in the right talent. I intend to discuss with God. God is one of those I believe in the transfer.
Well, listeners, on this note, I would love to come to the end of the Wednesday, July 15, 2026 edition of Blaze News. Before we go to recap of the major stories. Governor of Liberia repatriates 17 Liberian nationals from South Africa following renewed xenophobia attacks and rising anti-immigrant tensions in that country. Movement for Progressive Change political leader Simeon Freeman criticizes the reported spending of more than $200,000 United States dollars on the construction of a residence for Grand Bassa County Superintendent Carl Johnson. And the Solidarity and Chores for New Day's Town accuses the Liberian National Police of intimidating its media and publicity activities ahead of the group planned July 17 protest in Central Monrovia. Many thanks to our news director, editor, reporter, and correspondent for making this edition of Blaze Newspoint our sources. Stephen Taru brought you the news bulletin in the person of last post. Clifton Renning sat at control and coordinated this presentation. On behalf of the News and Current Affairs Department of Blaze Communications Network Incorporated, my name is Mensu Mendid Abrizente. Good evening and have a pleasant night from Painesville.